Yeah, you can blame the professor for us having to do video now. It's only the bane of our existences. It's so funny, like every time we do one of these, like we have like some problem to give to the professor. The poor guy.
Yeah. Well, he's the one who asks for video. Everybody, welcome once again to Magic the PROthering
in stereo.
That's right. This is episode 6 of Magic the PROthering.
It is. We've done 6 of these, well, 5 and about to be 6.
Yes,
where
exactly.
we chat with Magic pros from around the community, and it's all thanks to your support on Patreon. This is a special gift we give you every month.
That's right.
As a way to say thank you and high five.
Exactly.
I mean, because we can't say thank you in real life unless we've met you in person, and we can't high five you because of, you know, time and space problems.
I just got lost in my head because I was trying to think of another gift that you get each month, but I couldn't think of anything nearly appropriate to say.
You mean like menstrual cycle?
Why did you have to, like...
We were all thinking
some
it.
Other
we
reference.
were all thinking
other
it.
references. Well, everybody...
Welcome to Magic the PROthering! This week we're talking with one of our favorite Magic players of all time.
Absolutely. And a Pro Tour top 8 competitor, a Pro Tour winner.
We have a champion on our hands.
That's right. A really, I can't think of words. I've had a long day.
Meghan, how many hours of sleep did you get last night?
I don't know, like 4.5.
Okay, it's not enough. It's not enough. What we're trying to say is, it's Craig Wescoe, everybody. Craig Wescoe.
Craig Wescoe, of White Weenie decklist fame.
Yes.
Of I'm Dreaming of a White decklist fame.
Yes.
As heard on the podcast Magic the Amateur.
That's a good podcast, by the way. Have you heard it?
No, I haven't ever listened.
It's great.
Well.
Anyway, welcome, Craig.
Hey.
We've known Craig for a little while on the Pro Tour scene.
Absolutely. I remember watching Craig, like, I think Dragon's Maze was one of the first top 8s that I ever watched.
Yeah.
And so I remember you winning Pro Tour Dragon's Maze. I was like, what is this whole Pro Tour thing? Oh, that guy won it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Do you want to know this other memory I have of Craig, which he probably doesn't know? Maybe I told him. But at GP Minneapolis, which was like the next year or something.
Sure.
I can't remember. It was Modern. So we weren't playing in the main event. Yeah. But I did a side draft. And Craig, you were in my side draft. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting by a Magic Pro! Don't take white. And I didn't. So, yeah, Craig, you've had a wonderful Magic career, a lot of amazing accomplishments. Something that I didn't know until researching you even a little further today is that all your top 8 appearances, you're playing aggressive white decks. Is that true?
Yeah, for the most part.
So let's just get this question out of the way off the top. Why white? What's your deal?
Well, I mean, I play what wins, and whenever I play white decks, I typically win. So if I try to play other decks, I usually don't win as much. So I just end up playing white all the time.
Do you think it has something to do with, like, your play style matching what white wants to do?
Yeah, I think that's originally what it was, and maybe there is still some of that. I like playing with these little creatures with a bunch of cool abilities, being able to play some kind of interactive game with spells that can deal with any type of permanent, like Oblivion Ring, and just kind of be able to pressure my opponent with little creatures that are hard to kill.
Awesome.
Kind of white's my jam.
It's like lice, little creatures that are hard to kill.
Perfect analogy.
I mean, and they're white.
Perfect analogy.
Just saying.
So before you like got on your trend of playing White Weenie, do you feel like you always had kind of an aggressive bent to your play, or did it take a while to discover that?
Well, I used to play green-black decks a lot. So I played the Recurring Nightmare Survival of the Fittest deck back when I was in Standard, like, back in the Stone Age. And then I played a green-black elf deck back when Profane Command was a big thing during Lorwyn. And then I kind of started playing white decks when they printed Stoneforge Mystic, and I never looked back.
Yeah.
Stoneforge, she's my girl.
Seems like a good card to start with.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go white,
go
Stoneforge.
NBD, banned in Modern.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the real deal when it's banned in Modern.
Mm-hmm.
That's the measuring stick. So let's go back a little further to earlier, like when you started playing Magic. I don't know, what's your origin story? Tell us a Superman story. Were you rocketed to Earth and you're really just an alien who comes from a planet where all decks are white?
Well, I started way back in the Ice Age, quite
So
literally.
before the Stone Age. Wait, which came first?
I don't know.
Science.
Well, Ice Age was the new set, and my brother and I went to some game store like GameStop or something, and we each bought a starter deck, and we kind of learned from the rules, like how to kind of play. We were doing everything wrong, but I was attacking him with my walls, and illusionary walls like the best creature ever. And yeah, it was just, we kind of had a lot of fun. Then we figured out that the local game store had singles, so we started buying all these really sweet singles for our deck, like Sengir Vampire and Island Sanctuary, all these cool cards. And then the day I met Savannah Lions.
Yeah.
Tell us, Craig. Tell us
what it was like.
How you felt the first time you saw Savannah Lion.
It was definitely love at first sight.
Yeah. Was it like the clouds parted and you heard the trumpets?
Yeah.
I like getting pros to admit to things that aren't true on this show. Why was that kind of a turning point for you?
Yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, my very first Magic tournament was a sealed deck tournament with 4th edition, and when I opened a Savannah Lion in my sealed deck, I did not play with it even though I was playing white, because the rule was graveyard ante. So if my opponent killed my Savannah Lion and beat me, he would get my Savannah Lion.
Oh my God.
So I was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to play without it, and then I'm going to put it in my deck after the tournament where it's safe.
Question. So we've talked about ante on our podcast, but what is graveyard ante?
So graveyard ante was similar, except it basically meant that at the end of the game, the winning player would own the opponent's graveyard. And since this was sealed deck, you got to put all those cards into your deck.
What?
So
What?
your deck got better and better each round.
I have never heard of
That
this
is
before.
so weird.
That is bizarre.
So your strategy should be to play a deck that kills everything,
But also win.
but also
Yes.
wins.
My brother got knocked out by somebody who cast Armageddon so that he would get all my brother's basic lands, because you couldn't add basic lands to your sealed deck back then. You just had to play with whatever was in it.
What?
So then he was able to play a 2-color deck.
So wait,
This is a different world.
this was like you weren't opening boosters. Were you opening something else?
Yeah, so the sealed deck was basically similar to 3 boosters, plus they would put in like 5 of each land, and they would call it a starter deck. And so you would get a starter deck and play sealed deck. Maria's expression is just like, oh my god, this sounds horrid.
3 packs? I'm gonna puke. How could you even play a color? How could you even play one? How could you get enough cards? Oh boy.
Back in the day, we made do. It wasn't the way things are now. You young whippersnappers have just everything you need. Back in my day, we had to walk 3 miles uphill to the game store, barefoot.
Exactly.
And if you won, you had to take everybody's cards back with you.
Yeah, on your back.
But you didn't know you didn't have a backpack. You had to
Oh.
carry them in your hands.
Oh wow, that was before backpacks.
Yeah, it was in the day before backpacks.
So you really were there, kind of like at the start when Magic was like getting its first burst of insane popularity. What was that like? I mean, were your friends all playing, or was it still kind of like just you and your brother?
Well, I mean, I kind of made friends by playing at the game store, just like everyone does now. That's fortunately one thing that's remained constant since the beginning, is you go to the local game store and you meet people that are there to play Magic, and you start playing Magic with them. And then after school, which is what I did, I'd go to the game store and I'd meet up with a lot of the same people who also would go to the game store after school, and then those kind of became my friends that I would hang out with all the time.
How did you transition from like that to, I mean, this is going to be a big leap question, but playing professionally?
Well, I didn't actually go pro until maybe 6 years ago. So I'd been playing for like 14 years before I actually went pro.
There's still hope for us! That's my takeaway.
13 years from now, Maria, you can make it.
I'm going to be like 50. How old will I be? No, not quite 50, but nearly. Wow, well that's crazy. So were you like actively playing a lot, or did you just kind of like ramp up your game 6 years ago?
Well, I started playing progressively, more and more competitively. You'd play in your local tournament, you start winning those, then you start playing in regional PTQ type tournaments, and you win those and get onto the Pro Tour. Then eventually you start doing well on the Pro Tour, well enough to keep getting invited back. And then I never really got to that point before I kind of quit for a few years. But then when I kind of got back into it maybe 8 years ago, then I played on a couple of Pro Tours back to back, and then I caught my break in San Diego in 2010, where I made top 8, and then I've been on the Pro Tour ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. Just out of curiosity, what did you do during your break, during those dark years?
Well, I completed my master's degree in philosophy.
So dark.
Yeah, the dark days of academia.
I had no idea that you had a master's. That's awesome.
So you know all about philosophy? Okay, tell me something wise.
Do not get into professional magic. You're there to make a lot of money in the future.
Wise words. Wise
Only
words.
do it if you love magic.
Speaking of, so as you just mentioned, only play professional Magic if you love Magic.
Yeah.
What do you love about Magic? What keeps you playing it?
Well, there's a variety of things. One is the people. So you make so many friends playing Magic that whenever you take some amount of time away from Magic, well, you don't see your friends. And so that's part of the reason why you want to keep coming back, at least for me. And then part of the reason why Magic is so interesting as opposed to a lot of other games like poker, chess, things like that, is that it's always changing. You could always play Magic a new way. There's always new cards and new formats, things like that. So even though you're playing Magic constantly, you could be playing 12 different formats, and they're constantly changing. So it's always something new and interesting, new problems to solve. Magic's just a game that's different from everything else.
Nice. And what is your favorite format to play?
I like Team Limited because I really like being part of a team. So you kind of like win or lose as a team, and it's just it's more interesting and more fun, I think, than just playing individually. But I like a lot of different formats. That just happens to be my favorite one.
You top 8'd, or did you won a Team Limited event?
Yeah, Grand Prix Beijing. Me and two of my friends flew to China, and we won the tournament. It's pretty fun.
Were you just like, all right, let's go to China. Never been to China. We're doing it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Nice.
What set was that?
That was Battle for Zendikar and Oath of the Gatewatch, I guess.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Or was it just triple battle?
Man,
I don't remember. I remember when you guys won that, and that it wasn't that long ago. But still, my memory fails me.
Yeah, you see, I don't remember because as you get older, your memory starts to fade, and you start not remembering things correctly. So
it's happening to you, Megan.
Oh, fair
as
enough,
we sit
guys.
here.
I mean, I was gonna call it a Benjamin Button situation, but that's not what I'm looking
Whoa,
for.
no,
That's not what I'm looking
not right.
for.
I literally wake up in the morning and I don't know where I am. I'm like, I thought I was in Madrid and I'm like back at home and I'm like, oh wow, I forgot I already flew home from Spain.
Yeah, we are kind of putting you through the ringer here as we interview you. Like, you're probably not even back on a normal sleeping schedule yet.
Yeah, the clock says 7:30 and I'm like, well, is it 7:30 a.m.? Is it 7:30 p.m.?
When you're such a jet setter, it's hard to know.
I mean, that is kind of true, though, for professional Magic players. Like, you've been on the Pro Tour for a long time now. You really do kind of get to go around and see the world. Have you had any favorite destination you've been to for Magic?
Yeah, mostly the convention center.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I mean, that is true. That is true. I don't know, some players, they like
Which
take a vacation, but...
Which city has the prettiest convention
Ooh, great
center?
great question.
Probably Honolulu. I think they have a really nice convention center. It's you walk outside the convention hall and there's like it's just this open space where you're kind of outside, but you're still sort of inside. I guess it doesn't rain very often there, so you can kind of have outdoor and indoor not be as clear cut. It's not like Minnesota where just like if you have something outside, it's just going to get snowed on,
It's true.
That actually happens.
It's a fair bet. Fair bet.
And sometimes it gets snowed on when you're least expecting it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. What the heck, Skype? Stop. Okay, there we go. Are we back?
Are we back?
Yay!
Yay!
We're back.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
So, yep.
Anyway,
Did
did I already clap again? Yeah, I did. All right, so we can keep going.
Yep. Okay.
So something I ask of all pro players is, now that we're on video, hello, what makes you a good player? Like, I'm a player, Megan's a player. We've not been playing that long, but like, what do you think sets you apart? Are you good at math? Are you good at strategy? What do you think it is for you?
Well, I feel like I'm kind of a complete player. I can draft, I can play control decks, I can play aggro decks, I can play all sorts of different formats, whether it's modern, standard, team limited, individual limited. So that's kind of one of the things that separates me from a lot of semi-pro players. But I think one of the things that maybe I'm good at that a lot of other pro players aren't as good at is concealing and driving information, hidden information. So if my opponent plays land, I can have a good idea of what cards are and aren't in their hand just based on what lands they play. And a lot of people don't kind of pay attention to that sort of thing. They're just like, oh, well, whatever, it could mean anything. But then I sort of pay attention to a lot of those details that a lot of players kind of overlook. And so that kind of gives me some edge in some cases where you're trying to play around a card, trying to figure out what the opponent has, and I'm just like, I know what you have.
I know what you have, buddy.
I know.
Yeah. I'm not your buddy, pal.
I'm not your pal, buddy. Anyway, you don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
All right. So if that's what you feel like you're personally strong at, what is something that you think you still have to like work on? Where's a spot that you think that you can still like up your game?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's something that I keep telling myself I'm going to work on after every Pro Tour, after I lose one or two matches that were really close. I think one of my weaknesses is not figuring out everything as quickly as some other players do. So I watch like Shota Yasuoka or Luis Scott Vargas, and 3 seconds after they're drawing their card, they're making their play, and I'm still trying to figure out the board state, like what's going on. So it might take me like 10 seconds to see a play that Shota sees in like 3 seconds. And then I'll sometimes miss things that other players don't miss. And so I'll make a mistake and I'll be like, oh, why did I do that? Like, that's just so dumb, so obvious. Why did I make that play? And so I think I make too many of those mistakes where I see it just too late or it just takes me a little too long to see it. So I think that's one of the things that separates me from some of the other top players. I can't process things as quickly as them.
It's probably because you have some not psychology, what was it? Philosophy going on up in your head, you know? You're like all being wise, and like these magic cards are like, no, let me in, knock, knock, knock.
That is, I think, one of the weirdest things you've ever said to someone on this show.
Are you serious?
That was really weird.
I've said some weird stuff on this show before.
I think when you go back and you listen to what you just said, you're going to be like, what?
You know, I'm going to be sitting there at the Grand Prix next weekend, and I'm going to be like, have this voice in my head, knock, 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 let me in. I'm a magic card. I'm going to be like, God, Maria, what did you do to me?
I'm in your head. I'm in your head.
I'm in your head. In your head. Zombie.
I knew we could get Craig to sing on this show for us.
It has, honestly, it wasn't even a challenge.
No, not at all.
Craig Wescoe, one of the most willing singers in an interview.
Yep. Are you a karaoke fan?
I am.
Okay,
yeah.
What's your go-to song?
It depends on the mood and the alcohol level.
Alcohol level high, mood sexy.
Joy to the World by Three Dog Night.
Yes.
I tend to go with that one.
That is perfect. Perfect answer. So what's...
Sorry, I'm just imagining.
Bring it.
I did Amish Paradise with Tom Martell last time.
That's great.
That was fun.
Nice.
He did the fast part, so I was impressed.
Just getting some Weird Al up in there.
Yeah, for everybody who doesn't know, karaoke is kind of a thing in the magic community. I wonder how that started. Who knows? But it is.
So bringing the tone back down. I'm going to be the voice of reason here.
All right.
What's your number one tip for players who are looking to get better?
Just the tip?
Or, I mean, if you have a list, bust it out. We're here to listen and learn.
Well, if you're trying to get better at Magic, more competitive, the one thing to do is to practice with or watch players who are better than you. So you want to see why they're making the plays they make, kind of think about it, and then also sort of be honest with yourself. So a lot of people, they want to say, oh, I got, mana flooded, or didn't draw enough lands, or my opponent drew the right card at the right time, and that's why I lost. And that does happen. But you want to look back in the game and think, like, what could I have done differently? Maybe if I cast my creature first instead of my spell, things would have gone differently. Maybe if I, sideboarded differently, things could have gone better. So just kind of really thinking about what you honestly could have done differently instead of just blaming variants and things like that.
Pulling the wool over your own eyes.
Right.
Seeing
also reading my articles on TCG Player, clearly.
I mean, obviously.
Always be closing, Craig. Always be closing.
So I want to know what it was like when you won a Pro Tour. So you won Pro Tour Dragon's Maze. Meghan and I both...
It was all right.
Okay. You have to say more than 2 words. That's requirement. Like,
It's all right.
It was all right.
It's all right.
I mean, that's like the biggest moment that could possibly happen, other than, I don't know, winning the world champs in a Magic player's life. So, for you, tell me, what was it like? Paint a picture.
It was, like you said, I mean, it was something that I'd been working toward for, 17 years or something like that. So it was definitely a big deal for me. And the fact that I had all my teammates supporting me and, like, all my friends and stuff cheering me on from home, it was just like, it was a pretty surreal moment. And the fact that I just won very convincingly in the finals just kind of, encapsulates a lot of, it's really hard to put into words, but it was definitely, a big deal for me.
Did you have to deal with paparazzi outside your house after that, like snapping some pics?
No, that's not quite, Magic's not that big yet, but maybe someday,
Maybe someday we can dream of having our privacy invaded. I want to know how you feel, like we just came off of a Pro Tour. Pro Tour Madrid, Shadows over Innistrad. How do you feel about the current format? I mean, White is obviously very strong. Does that make you a happy boy?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice change of pace to really get kind of all the best cards for once. Usually some of the other colors like green and blue, or black, they get all the powerful cards, and then I'm kind of scrounging around with all these marginal playables trying to put a deck together. But this time we got all the good removal spells, we got the marquee mythic of the set, we got Avacyn, we have like Declaration in Stone, we just kind of have all these really powerful cards, we got multiple anthems, we have Thalia's Lieutenant, we have Always Watching, and so we just have like so many cards. But then the trade-off is that everybody else is wanting to play all these powerful cards, and so everyone's prepared for it. So I kind of have this big target on my back, you know? Where instead of everyone just being like, oh, whatever, Craig playing his White Weenie deck, now they're like, oh god, we have to beat this White Weenie deck. I'm just like, no, it's okay. Guys, just like,
let me be.
Languishes. Yeah.
You know what you should do is just like casually put some swamps down on, you know, right when you're about to play.
Like next to your deck box.
Yeah.
Just set them down. What's the number one villain of Standard right now, in your opinion? Like, who's the big bad?
Well, going into the Pro Tour, I think it was the Bant Company deck. That was the one that everyone kind of knew they were going to face in the tournament. I'm not really sure what it's going to be after the Pro Tour, because there were so many different decks in the top 8. I know that a lot of people still want to beat White Weenie, though, even though nobody made top 8 with it. But everyone still wants to play Languish.
Yeah, whatever. That's what I say.
So Craig's advice is don't play Languish right now. Just whatever you do.
I hate that card.
You hate Languish?
Yes.
Why?
It's so unfair.
Your mom's unfair.
She is. She's really unfair.
I've seen her coach her debate teams.
Yeah.
I'm getting really close to what actually happened. Speech?
Yeah,
speech teams. I've seen her coach speech. So what if you could change one thing about Magic, what would you change about it?
It can be anything.
Anything at all. Like, literally anything about Magic.
You have a really good thinking face. Was that a class in your master's in philosophy, this chin stroke?
No.
I was trying to get you to admit another lie.
It just comes naturally.
Oh, I get it.
Naturally to him.
Yeah.
So it drew him to philosophy in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about any one thing, but one thing I would like to see with Magic is a more accessible online program. So I know that a lot of the other kind of esports and things like that have a different model where anybody can basically play for free, and the more they play, they're incentivized. They get more bonuses, or they could just pay money to get those bonuses. But basically, people are incentivized to play the game, and there's like no barrier to entry other than owning a computer and having internet. Whereas Magic Online, you have to like pay for boosters, pay to sign up for the draft, you have to get these tickets, and then you have to, if you don't win, you have to pay more money. And so that's just this big barrier for a lot of people. And I think if they just made, I don't know what the model would be, but something where it's just free and you're incentivized to just continue playing for free, then I think it would just explode in popularity. I don't know if they could link it up with Duels of the Planeswalkers or like do something with Magic Online, but I would love to see Magic make a more dedicated effort toward getting into that online gaming scene, because I think that's so big right now. And I just think Magic's such a great game that there's so much territory there that's being unexplored right now.
Yeah. Interesting. I think I heard a little rumble that there might be some changes afoot for Magic Online, although that's probably been rumbling for a long time. But
it's a constant.
Maybe it's a volcano.
And it's
Moto is secretly built
waiting
on a volcano.
Yeah, exactly. We're having a pre-quake, and someday there's gonna be a real quake.
Do you know there's a word for pre-quake? That's not pre-quake.
I mean, I thought that I had nailed it with pre-quake, but please tell me.
I'm tremoring with anticipation.
Nailed it.
Solid.
Nailed it.
Solid.
So, Craig, you might not know that everybody thinks LSV is the pun master. Craig is kind of also the pun master. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to share this moment that Craig and I had publicly, and that is a Facebook. What?
Wait. Oh, no.
Yeah, don't worry, I won't talk about that.
Okay.
No, this is a Facebook conversation we had, and I will now read it. I will read it to you verbatim. This is over the course of months, by the way. So it starts off with a cartoon of a pig and a cow that's tipped over in a restaurant, and a chicken's asking the pig, "Did you tip the waiter?"
Yep.
I reply, "I feel like you farmed out that joke. You can play the role of Craig, Megan."
Okay. I can't do his voice.
It's okay.
I can get making puns until the cows come home.
Your humor is a little spotty.
I can't afford to stomach times 4 too many more of these puns.
I've just about heard enough.
Holy cow, you really grabbed the bull by the horns with that one.
You're sure milking this for all it's worth.
It appears we are both easily amused.
These jokes are just a pile of cud.
It's getting late. I'm going to need some caffeine to stay awake.
Maybe I could prod you to do a few more.
I wouldn't dare utter another one.
It's about time these jokes were sent out to pasture.
I would keep going, but I wouldn't want there to be any beef between us.
I just hope you still have a stake in this friendship.
Definitely wouldn't want to butcher it by making bad puns.
This thread has really bought the farm.
I was hoping we would steer clear of that pun.
Simon Cowell would vote you off for that joke.
Have you heard about that new movie for kinky cows and bulls? It's called 50 Shades of Greys.
I was going to go, but I forgot I had already RSVP'd to a brisket instead.
Do you know what cows do when they fall asleep together? They cuddle.
I kowtow to your greatness at puns.
What does a cow do to save money while traveling? Couch surfs.
I thought you were going to say they travel couch, but your joke was superior.
It was incredible.
Oh, Craig Wescoe, you sure are a funny one.
Craig, I hope you feel. I hope I did you justice in that reading. I was really trying.
Yeah, that actually started at a restaurant that all of us ate at. We went to an Indian restaurant one time.
That's very true. At GP Vegas.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yep. And then, so that was already like, what, 7 jokes in?
Yeah, we had already burned
that's true.
some good ones.
At the table.
Yeah, so there were more. There were more.
Yes. Okay, wait. It's like, speaking of that Indian restaurant,
Yeah.
we ended up there because, Craig, you are like a hardcore vegan.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about being vegan and what like motivates you?
Well, I just think, animals are pretty awesome creatures, and so I like to kind of be respectful of everyone, and animals included. So I don't see any need to hurt animals for no reason, and so I just don't do it.
You were in a veggie parade in New York, weren't you?
I was. It's a Veggie Pride Parade. There's a whole bunch of things going on in New York. Like, if a thing happens in the world, you could probably find people doing it in New York just because there's so many people. And so, there's a bunch of potlucks, there's a bunch of, vegan gatherings and stuff like that. And this time there's a parade each year. And last year I heard about it the day after, but this time I heard about it beforehand. And I wasn't doing anything, so I was like, all right, sweet. So I went, and it was fun.
Did you dress up as a cucumber?
No, but I actually got a photo taken with someone who's dressed up as a pea. They had a sign that said, "Give peas a chance."
You had to.
Amazing. Amazing.
I think I was tagged on Facebook with it, too.
Okay, I definitely need to go see.
Go and find it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, besides being a vegan, which some people might not know, what's something that people don't know about you, like a hobby that you have or something you're interested in? I mean, we also learned the master's thing today.
That's very true.
That people might not know about.
Let's see. People might not know about me. I'm a pretty simple creature. I guess I make probably about as many jokes as LSV, just mine are not quite as good.
I don't know, those cow puns, those were great. I was like, every time you send a new one, I was so impressed. I'm like, this has to be the last one. But no, you pulled one out.
Well, I mean, it goes both ways. We're going back and forth. Got pretty slim there at the end, I guess. Yeah. But
we were really scraping the bottom of the cow barrel. Ew. I never want to say that ever again.
Not a thing. Not a thing. I really hope.
Yuck. Yuck. So, like, what are your goals for the future now? You've won a pro tour. You've won, some other tournaments. What do you hope for your Magic life?
Well, it's been a few years since I've top 8 at a pro tour. I've had a couple of close calls. I got top 16 in, I think it was Portland, and then I made 10th place at Brussels. So I keep almost getting that 4th top 8, and I've been accumulating a bunch of pro points. I've been, hitting platinum each year, but just top hitting another pro tour, I think, is one of the short-term goals that I'd really like to achieve at some point soon. So I've already locked up gold for next year, regardless of how the rest of the year goes. So I at least am invited to the next 4 or 5 pro tours or whatever. But it would be really nice. It would also be nice to make it back to the World Championships, especially with the increased prize structure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. You could finance your own veggie parade, through your living room.
Well, I could do that.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
I feel like it probably doesn't take much to finance a veggie parade.
I want to be the potato.
You can be the potato.
Yes.
What am I gonna be? Oh no, I don't know what vegetable I am.
You could be a beet because you have purple hair.
Nobody wants to be a beet.
That's true. But Megan, somebody's got to do it.
I'll take the fall.
You've got the beat.
Got
you've
the
got
beat.
the
I am a beat.
Yeah.
I am a beat. All right, you guys have sold me on it.
Okay.
As long as I get to have a boombox and just play that song on loop during the parade and sing to it, I'll be the beat.
Wait, can it be a beatbox?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Craig, if you make another top 8, my only, request to you is to just, show, if I'm standing behind you with my iPad, just show me that hand. Show me that hand loud and proud. Don't try and hide it on the mat. Don't look at it and put it down. No sneaking around. That's my only request. Okay, I'm better now.
Okay, wait, one last question, because this is another one that we ask everybody, and it's very important to the show.
Oh yeah, that's the best question.
If you were any card in the history of Magic, what card would you be, and why?
It's gotta be Savannah Lines, right?
What? Shh.
What about a Johnny? Oh, okay.
He's doing his classic
he's thinking
thinker face.
Again.
Classic thinker
Sculptors take note. The next Thinker 2.0 sculpture, Craig Wescoe,
2.0.
model.
Well, my favorite card in Magic might surprise you. It is actually Swords to Plowshares.
Oh.
So I think if I were a card, if I were Swords to Plowshares, I wouldn't just be a creature. I would be a spell where I exile a creature and then the controller gains life equal to its power.
I think that is
right.
so apt. You saying you'd be Swords to Plowshares. You're just a very peaceful person.
Yeah, I agree. I very much see it.
It's also one of my favorite Bible passages where it talks about they will beat their swords into plowshares. And the idea is that people stop going to war and instead they grow crops and basically help each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And are generally chill to the animals. Because why wouldn't you be?
That's also great art. I mean, there's been some great art on Swords to Plowshares, too.
Yeah, totally.
Over the years. Well, what a lovely note to end on. Thank you, Craig, for being our guest on this episode 6 of Magic the PROthering.
You're welcome.
And
thanks for inviting me.
We're going to see you soon somewhere, I hope. Are you coming to GP Minneapolis?
I haven't looked up my schedule yet. I know I'm going to Costa Rica, and I'm going to the Grand Prix. It's supposed to be Grand Prix New York, but it's actually in New Jersey. Those are the two that I'm definitely going to. We'll see what my plan is for the rest of the year before Sydney.
Right.
See how many points I need to.
All right.
Awesome. Well, we very much hope to see you at a forthcoming event.
High five. High five.
All right, high five.